children that they may not be able to support if they get out of the situation.
You don't have a family nearby to be supportive of you.
The person that's violating them says they're sorry and they will do it again, and they hope that things will change.
In the good times, they're probably a whole lot better than the bad times.
Sometimes, it's just, just shame, it's, really hard to like say, oh, I need help.
There's no way, I'm too strong for this, I'm too mean, no, I take care of my own. I can't tell my mom that somebody did this.
I think women are maybe afraid to leave, somebody that's stable for them.
The idea of being alone is, I think, more scary for some people than being with someone that abuses them.
So you'll have to excuse my ignorance here, but when a woman is in an abusive relationship, why would she stick around for more abuse? Why wouldn't she just leave?
Well, usually the first time it happens, she can't believe it's happening and thinks that it won't happen again. When it does happen again, there are so many factors that keep her there. The first is probably the economic dependence. She's so fearful about taking care of herself, and those are founded. About half the women who are homeless because of domestic violence.
I had no access to the money. My name was not allowed to be on the checkbook or any of the accounts. If he found a penny, it had to be made sure it's accounted for. So he made sure that I had no access to money.
She is very isolated usually. She doesn't have anyone to talk to about the problem, and because of the psychological abuse, she believes that it's her problem, and she still continually keeps blaming herself and trying to find ways to change herself, where it's the abuser that needs to change the behavior.
Sometimes I did think it was my fault, but I think the reason that I was thinking that is because the person that I was with would put the blame on me.
The abuser is promising to change. Every time there's a violent episode, he promises to change. So she holds out hope for that.
So you think, okay, he's never going to do it again because he was Prince Charming for 4 years.
So there's a huge number of barriers to leaving.
I think a number of people still don't understand the whole root cause of what keeps a woman in a situation, to the point where where she gets killed, or the children get injured, or it explodes to a point where police have to be called. They don't understand. Why didn't she just leave?
I continue to think that, okay, well, he's going to change. He's going to change. He's going to change. And it's not going to always be this way, because he would get angry, he would rage at me, he would, go off on me, hit me, whatever he did, and then, I'm sorry. See what you made me do? I'm sorry. Okay, I'll never do that to you again. I love you. And he hugged me, and he would bring me flowers, he would bring me gifts, or he would take me to somewhere I had been wanting to go. It became almost like a training. That nice period was the part that kind of kept me going, oh, well, there's hope. There's hope, because when he was nice, it was nice. The best of the best. But then when he was a monster, he was a monster.
What you're feeling is normal, because it's a relationship that you at one point thought would last. And now it's just difficult to believe that somebody that you care so much about would do something like what they've been doing to hurt you, and you want to hold on.
When my husband was arrested, a police officer handed me a card for a domestic abuse group, and I handed it back to him and said, oh, I wasn't abused. And he handed it back to me and said, if you don't think this is abuse, you don't know what abuse is.
One of the major barriers, first of all, is not understanding what domestic violence is. The other major barrier is not feeling like you have any options.
I called his mother. I had ran out of the house because he was physically abusing me, and so I got out of the house. And so I'm running down the street with my daughter, and I go to a payphone, and I called his mother, because it was like, who else do I call? What do I do? And so I called her, and She said, I didn't send him to you in a body bag, and I don't expect to receive him back. He was telling her that all the things he was doing to me, that's what I was doing to him. So she was believing that I was abusing him. When she said that to me, I felt like, okay, well, he's gotten to everybody. There's nobody that I can go to. And I felt like all of my lifelines were cut.
When people are, such as abusers, are aware of all of our accommodations that are needed, they use it against us. My abuser used to take my wheelchair away, for example. And he wouldn't go and get it fixed when it was broken, so I was left with nothing.
For our residents that are moms, it's not just about her leaving and all the things, all the barriers for her alone, but you're talking about pulling your kids out of their schools, pulling them away from their friends, pulling them out of their, their daycares and their support systems, and coming into a confidential shelter where they may not be able to access extended family and friends. He's abusive, but he's a good dad. There's that kind of a feeling sometimes. Or you have moms who maybe they didn't have a dad, and they really feel that I'm pulling my kids away from their dad or their father figure.
Sometimes it's easier to stay and try to manage the abuse than it is to leave and not know what's going to happen. And of course, you probably know that the highest risk of lethality is when the woman's trying to leave.
She knew absolutely that he was capable of killing her, and I'm sure had threatened it time and time again. And when someone tells you they're going to kill you and then they strangle you, you're pretty convinced that they could absolutely make good on that promise. And so I don't blame people for not wanting to leave. That's terrifying.